In the past 50 years, my observation, we've lost the ability to drink clean water, unless it's from the bottle, buy whole milk in some states, collect rainwater on our own property, believe in the news media due to the corporation ownership of the information. We never know if it's true. Being able to say anything without reprisal or without possibly being punished. Ability to grow things on our own property without being called, cited, or prosecuted. Voting was, for the most part, ethical. We never got arrested for leaving the house. But now we eat food. We aren't allowed to know what's in it. We're threatened with being forced to have poison shot into our body without knowing what's in it or if it's harmful. We can be snatched off the street and held in jail without due process if someone thinks you might be a terrorist or politically against them. Some are forced to have water that they can't drink or even bathe in. Some political parties effectively prevent some of our choices for political office within their own party. Political parties effectively prevent some of our choices for political office within our own party. Anyway, IRS has been used as a attack dog, so is FBI. Now, these are all things that's been going on for a while, but it's in a point where it just has to be stopped. But how do we do that? We have to hang together. Not symbiotic like we're all one, but like the Olympic rings, we're linked by a cause to make an ethical, productive, and a society that everybody can live with some ability to grow and progress. We need to link our strengths for the noble cause of a better world for all our kids and theirs. Think about that as you look at your children, grandchildren. We all have to get off the bench. If you're a healer, heal. If you're an advisor, advise. If you're an educator, educate. If, God forbid, at some point it's necessary, if you're a fighter, be trained to fight. As repugnant as all that is, sometimes it could be necessary. Right now, we want to connect with our guest today, is Rick Light. He's a militia member.
Yeah, Robert.
Yes. Hang on one second, buddy. I'm introducing you right at the moment. So,
okay.
Anyway, he's a militia member. He's been there for quite some time, as far as I can tell. He'll say more about that here in a minute. But he's here to talk about what a militia really is. A lot of people have the wrong idea that there's some kind of mad dog gun fetish people, and they're really not. The people that are willing, when things get bad, if they were to get bad, they're willing to step up, as we all should. There's no doubt that this paradigm shift is going to happen. There's no doubt that the consciousness is going to raise and everything's going to be okay. But it's not going to do it by itself. Luckily, we still have some politicians with this thread of ethics. Police that are still here for the people. Well, right now, let's talk to our guest. His name is Rick Light, and I'll let him tell you more about him. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, hello. How you all doing? Glad to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry we were just a few minutes late. Looks like that might have panned out okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we got somebody else with us, huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
This is Brittany. I forgot to introduce her.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, Brandy. How you doing?
It's Brittany, but that's okay. I'm great. I'm
Hey,
so
Brittany.
happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I guess as Robert pointed out at the beginning, I've been a militia member since 1994. As everybody knows, in the 90s, we witnessed Ruby Ridge and Waco take off. And it kind of woke people up in the 90s to understand that, okay, wait a minute, we have a government that's overstepping its bounds constitutionally. And the more we checked into the stories behind Ruby Ridge and Waco, we were starting to see what we felt was the development of a police state here in America, which, well, we see now, everybody can see it. So a lot of things have changed within all those years since 1994. Okay. In 1994, it sent people like me looking for ways to guard ourselves against the government. You know, it's quite obvious that, wow, wait a minute, if they can hem you up somewhere, shoot your wife while they're holding a baby, or burn you up in a building, how are you going to protect yourself with something like that? Well, we started learning about our Second Amendment. Now, a lot of people think the Second Amendment's all about having guns in your closet. That's just a small portion of it. The main reason the Second Amendment was penned by our founders was to make sure that every citizen understood that they were the mainstay of their own safety. That's why the Second Amendment is penned, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. I'm going to stop there, even though that's halfway through it. So what's the militia? You start studying the militia, and you see again, our founders weren't dumb men. They were pretty intelligent people that actually left documentation of why they penned the Second Amendment the way they did, which you'll find in the Federalist Papers. You also find a lot of quotes from our founders of why they penned the Second Amendment the way they did, and why they mainly made us understood that every person is part of the militia. Every citizen that here in the United States is part of that militia that's necessary to the security of a free state. Notice that it actually is one of the very few things that says necessary in it. I mean, think about that.
Right.
It says necessary to the security of a free state. A well-regulated militia, okay? Well, what's well-regulated mean? No, not controlled by the government. Well-regulated means well-trained, proficient in firearms. So that way, just like back in 1776, I don't know if anybody remembers the name Minutemen.
Right.
Minutemen were militia members, yeah. The reason why they were called Minutemen is because within 1 minute, they could grab everything they needed and head out the door to engage the British.
Mm-hmm.
In 1 minute. Now, think about what we could be called these days with the stuff we've got.
Yeah.
We could be called 30-second man.
Right.
We could do it in half that time.
Yeah.
And we got a lot better weaponry. We got a lot better equipment. A lot of things are a lot better than it was in the 1700s. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things that people don't understand is the militia is not a gang. It's not a private gang. It's not meant to have these guys that's off in the hills all by themselves. You got a private gang, that's a gang. It's not a militia. A militia serves community. It actually has a function in community. And that's to help with the security of the community. That means, okay, you got to reach out to the sheriff. You got to be able to communicate with all your elected officials, which I know you know this, Robert, but I'm one of the very few people in Texas that actually got that done on a county level.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, 2011, me and my wife, we actually were able to get a county to accept a citizens militia. We had a really well-rounded layout for it, what its functions was, and everything. It got the backing of not only the sheriff, it got the backing of the judge and the county commissioners. No, we didn't run around screaming war, folks. That's not how you get that kind of stuff done. Actually, me and my wife, we offered goodwill to our community.
Mm-hmm.
Love.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Something.
Yeah.
So, a lot of militia members don't get that.
Right.
A lot of militia members seem to think it's their anger and their hate that's going to give them their drive. And I got news for them. That's either destruction.
Well,
you don't win nothing over. Yeah, you just don't win nothing over with those kind of attitudes or what you would call negative things. It's not something that's going to feed your community.
Right.
As I try to tell people, if you think getting into the militia movement's all about going to war with the government one day, well, you might be right. That isn't really your main function. Your main function is to have a functioning militia in the county in case, the county gets in trouble. Flash floods.
Right.
Tornadoes. So it's not all about run and gun.
Yeah, so it's not all about war.
So that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing some of these guys need to get out of their head. It's not about you being in the woods running and gunning, guys. Sorry, you've got to be able to get in there and fend for the community. Now, I know some people out there have some really bad environment. Let's say they have an unconstitutional sheriff. Okay, there's a way around that. If you're offering goodwill to your community, don't you think the community's finally going to ask the sheriff, hey, what's your problem?
Right.
What's the problem with the militia here? I mean, you don't seem to want to do anything with these guys at all, but yet they're continuously doing good things for the community.
Right.
So what's your problem? So there's other ways to deal with sheriffs. Eventually you can get the sheriff elected out of there.
That's good.
Elections still work in some places. Believe it or not, your rural communities, they're still good. To give you an example, this COVID stuff that popped off, look at all the COVID overlords that popped up. Wow, you talk about tyranny 2.0. There you go.
Yeah.
Everybody sees it now. Yeah, quite obvious.
Yeah, it's scaring hell out of people.
I'm actually really proud of my elected officials. We didn't do that here. They were like, oh, heck no, we're not going there. Our citizens are grown people. They're responsible. We'll tell them what's up. We'll tell them what the guidelines are, and we'll let them be responsible about themselves.
Wow, that's great.
So everything around here was done voluntarily. Nobody's hands was forced.
Right.
Yeah, and we had a few cases in the county. The county just didn't freak out, seize power, and tell everybody, oh, no, we're going to destroy your lives in the name of this virus.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do that here. And we're not the only county. There's a lot of counties here in Texas that did the same thing we did, and other states. So, if you're in one of those counties and stuff, don't be afraid to pat your electeds on the shoulder and on the back, folks, if they didn't become COVID overlords on you. That's what I call them, as the COVID overlords.
Yeah, Meglo.
Megalomaniacs. Look at some of your governors, your mayors, and things like this. And this is exactly why the militia was designed, is to keep those people in check. See, those people lost their checks and balances in their own mind.
Well, don't you think a lot of that happens?
The Second Amendment was. Go ahead.
Well, don't you think a lot of that happens because they get up there long enough, pretty soon they see the people as like subjects or serfs, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
and
Right.
their ego takes over, megalomania takes over. Then they're not even thinking like human beings anymore. You know what I mean?
And what's sad about it is a lot of them probably don't even realize.
Right. Well, like I'm pretty intuitive, and I got to listen to some of the Bill Gates stuff like this, and what it's really apparent is the mentality of, I know what's right for you. I know
Right.
how you should run your life. I know I need to keep track of you so you don't get yourself in trouble. Do you say? But all that does is step on the
Yeah.
heads of everybody involved.
Exactly. It destroys freedom and liberty. It destroys the very structure of which this nation was founded upon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which don't get me wrong. Our country's history isn't perfect by no means.
No.
I mean, look at what Native Americans went through. Look at what black people went through. Look at what Japanese Americans had to go through. We've had our times in history where we shouldn't be proud, but we should be proud to learn from that to make it better so we don't do those kind of things again. The
Yeah.
sad part is we notice that our elected officials don't see that. They just don't.
Yeah.
The majority of them. It's crazy. It's like every elected official anymore has a real problem with following the rules called the U.S. Constitution or their state constitution, which they're bound to, and they take an oath.
Right.
All of them step on. Every one of them. Even President Trump. Now, I don't want people hating me saying, "Oh God, Rick don't like President Trump." No, I support President Trump. I'm going to vote for President Trump, but I know when to stomp on President Trump.
Absolutely.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a Trump fan. I am a Trump supporter. I praise the president when the president's right and does correctly.
Well,
But I don't have a problem with stepping up and screaming at the president when he does things wrong, and this president has done things wrong.
Yeah, right.
He promised us no more business with the Second Amendment. What does he do? Goes and does the bump stock.
Right.
And people are like, "Oh, you're crying about bump stocks." No. That's not what we're crying about.
Yeah.
We're crying about the fact our president gave promise to broke it.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
It's
we
the
have
idea he broke it. Yeah.
our people have a tendency to kind of see things kind of broad brushed. In other words, if he says something you don't like, then you must not like him. Huh?
Well, exactly. They didn't see the danger of the bump stocks. Wasn't the bump stocks.
Mm-hmm.
What's the VHF trying to do right now to your semi-automatic ARs?
You're right. Right.
Trying to make them machine guns.
Right.
Semi-automatic machine guns now, folks.
Yeah.
And that was the danger of the bump stock thing, see? And that's what we was trying to tell you, everybody back then. But nobody wanted to listen.
Right.
They was too busy being a Trump fan. And now, boom, here we got the BATF trying to do exactly what we warned that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, they're going to take that bump stock, use that bump stock because it's not a machine gun. It just induces semi-automatic rate of fire much quicker.
Real quick.
So, okay, if they can get that outlawed, then they can get your semi-automatics sooner or later too.
Real quick. Could you define bump stock? Some people wouldn't know that.
A bump stock is a device that is on a slide rail. Then it kind of connects to the back of your it replaces your butt on your gun.
Mm-hmm.
And because it slides, it has a slide thing that connects on the trigger. When you pull the trigger, the recoil goes back on the slide. It makes your finger actuate the semi-automatic much faster.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Bear in mind, you can do this with a belt loop.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are talented enough, they just got the bump of the gun just right, and they can hold the gun and bump fire it without even holding the belt loop.
Right.
Or have a rubber band.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what they're trying to tell you is they're going to ban you being able to bump fire your gun. And if they can't ban that, well, then they'll just make semi-automatic machine guns, and, well, we'll just take care of that.
Right. So just mistitle things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is the main reason the Second Amendment was passed. That's the point I'm trying to make, is we have let our government convince us that if they had certain agencies out there that they control, well, then they can take care of your safety, your security.
Right. Yeah.
We all know that that's a lie.
No, that doesn't even make logical sense.
No. How can you protect me from walking out the door? You can't. I could walk out the door. I could have an enemy that just decided they didn't want me around anymore. I could walk out my house and get gunned down.
Yeah.
They can't stop that.
Yeah. Well,
but now I can. I can if I'm armed.
Right.
See, that was the reason that the founders penned it the way they did. Now, did our founders give us a Second Amendment? No. They penned it.
Mm-hmm.
Our founders believed in God.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you believe in God or not, know this: the founders said that our rights were inherent from God.
Mm-hmm.
That no man has the right to come in and step on those rights. But look at what our government does every day.
Yeah.
The reason why they do it is because the militias have not evolved enough.
Right.
Now, we've evolved enough where we make them fret now when they try to do Bundy ranch style things, Waco style things. They're learning that, all right, wait a minute, they've got enough people that they can cause us trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But folks, we got to bring back the Second Amendment so strong that they have to start obeying their oaths.
Yeah. Well, we have politicians. We've got politicians. Go ahead. Sorry. All right.
No, go ahead, bro.
We've got politicians that want to get rid of the Constitution altogether. I heard Obama himself say that,
which is so ridiculous.
He was saying, the Constitution's an imperfect document, which it isn't. But that's what he was saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of our politicians are in bed with what we call a globalist movement.
Right.
Some people call it the New World Order, and I'm like, well, you know what? It ain't new. No, it ain't new anymore. It's really just call it what it is: one world order.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's a globalist thing. Yeah, for this one world dominance thing, which everybody knows, every king through history fought for. Everybody wants to rule the world.
Right.
And you're always going to have that mentality out there. Another good reason to have a Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, our founders just made sure that we couldn't be tyrannized if we didn't want to.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Second Amendment, the guns would be gone by now. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't adhere to that, and now we're starting to suffer the loss of a lot of our rights.
Right.
This is okay, though. It has its positive effect. The good news is I see a great awakening happening right now.
Yeah, sure is.
Yes.
I mean, a great awakening. It's like people around here in my small area, I've never heard really talk politics.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we haven't been run by Coven overlords,
mm-hmm.
just from what they've seen on the news nationally from other states, they're woke now. They're like, holy cow, we had no idea.
Yeah, more and more. Yeah.
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 So, it's like common talk now. People in the grocery store, you can hear them talking. Lord, did you hear what that governor in Wisconsin is doing to her people? And, oh, my Lord. And it's just like, wow. And it's like some people are like, yeah, if I lived in those areas, something else would be going on. And,
right.
that's really a good mentality to have. I think that's why we have it the way we do around here, because some of your rural counties in Texas are really America.
Right.
I mean, really America strong.
Right.
They even smile at the militia. I've made a great impact on some of the sheriffs and law enforcement here in Texas over my years of being in the militia, because even though I see law enforcement isn't perfect, I realize human beings aren't perfect. So I don't expect cops to be perfect. I just expect cops to try to do their best to maintain themselves and try to remember just because I'm wearing this badge doesn't give me so much authority that I can abuse somebody's right.
Right. Well,
yeah, my dad was a cop.
Yeah.
I was raised in it.
Yeah.
So naturally, I'm going to be pro law enforcement. I've seen the better side of cops more so than most people do. And me, myself, I don't have much of a problem. I know when I get pulled over, I've never had a cop do me bad in any way. We just have a pleasant conversation, talk about why they pulled me over. Most of the time, they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I get pulled over, I'm speeding.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't make the cop feel like a fool when he gets to the door. Treat him with respect. Acknowledge my wrongdoing. If I was speeding, I'm not going to say, hey, you liar. If you start calling him a liar, what do you expect him to do?
Right. Well, the thing,
yeah, if you knew you were speeding, yeah, it's like, just own it. You know, you find out some cops will let you go.
Yeah. Well,
I got a fast little Mustang. I went down this road here about a year ago, and I lit my little Mustang up, and I was doing wrong. The law is the law. Cop seen me, pulled me over, could have took me to jail, wrote me up for $1,300 worth of tickets.
mm-mm.
I gave him respect, owned what I did. I walked. Not one dime. No tickets, no nothing.
Right.
Wow.
Well,
just for being respectful.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about balance. It's about you stand up for your rights, but you also show respect. It's the only way to work the world.
Exactly.
You know, the other way you go, you get crazy, you got trouble. If you get too push, you allow yourself to be pushed too much, then it goes the other way. So you got to have the balance either way. Yeah. Do you have?
You got to have a balance. You should never be afraid to put a cop in check too if they do get out of line. Which I've had them do that with me. I have had a few cops get out of line and they say, look at me. I say quietly, sir. Wait a minute, I'm not giving you that attitude, so why are you giving me that?
Right, right.
And usually they'll settle down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice.
I know the one that didn't, he lost his job.
Good.
When I got done with him.
So,
that's just the way that went. Yeah, he no longer had a badge.
So do you have cops in your ranks or what?
Well, when, as you know, when Edwards County Rangers were up and running, the sheriff's department come out and train with us all the time at our FDS.
Nice.
Now, are they part of the militia? No, because they're part of an elected structure.
Right. But it probably...
But we still have to learn to train together and work together as two different things.
Right.
No, the sheriff doesn't run the militia.
Right.
The sheriff, the militia is going to have a commander. That commander is usually the one that does all the politicking with the electeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how that works. When I was the commander, the sheriff used to call me up, Rick, we got a school board meeting. We'd like you to be there.
Right.
Rick, we've got some function going on that we would like our commander to be there.
Yeah.
So I would show up to those functions, just be there, shake hands, and, you know, try to get to know the county commander.
Right. Well,
yeah.
There's militias pretty much all over the country. I would imagine every state.
Oh, yeah.
Now, are they linked together in any way? Like
through social media, a lot of them link together. I'm hoping to see more communication kind of be established along state lines and county lines more than national lines, because we really can't have a national militia. I know I see a lot of these national movements, and I'm going, you know what?
Yeah.
You guys look back. You know, we tried a national movement back in 2008. We called it RAM, the Well-Regulated American Militias, and it became a big website, and it was supposed to do things nationally, state by state.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just seems like all national efforts fall apart, and the reason being is well, how can you have one command structure run a whole nation?
Right.
It doesn't work, because somebody in Maine can't be telling somebody in California what they need and what to do.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing.
So we broke it down. We started breaking it down even further than that. We even took it a step further. We noticed that state efforts were having problems.
Yeah. Well,
so now we're on county by county, and that seems to be working a lot better. We're also telling them to keep them off of social media. Do not put your militia group on.
Right.
You get a legitimate militia group, don't put it on social media.
Right.
It's going to get targeted.
Well,
So,
what the point
yeah,
you just made about not having a national, if you take that same idea model and you would say, okay, if it can't have a national militia, because it wouldn't work because people in California is different than somebody in Virginia or something like that. Well, it's also a good argument why globalism wouldn't work.
Exactly.
Federal mandates don't really work that well. Not all the time.
Right. Anything that tries to control from the very top everything down below becomes tyranny.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. How do we help prevent so much censorship? On Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. There's so many people that are trying to get information out with this great awakening, and they are just censoring us like crazy.
Yeah, I know, and that's going to be a big problem. I don't know if government's going to have to step up to try to intervene on a First Amendment basis, but then they got to be careful because you take Facebook, for instance. Everybody says my First Amendment rights are getting violated. Well, wait a minute. No, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're being suppressed on Facebook, but they're not being violated. Why? Because Facebook has an owner.
It's a private.
That'd be like saying that anybody can walk into my house, walk up to my wife and say anything they want to her, and I got to stand there and let them do it. No, it don't work like that. So you got to remember when you come into Facebook and some of these groups, you're walking into someone's property, their own.
Luckily, I think what's going to end up happening, there's going to be people that are really seeing it and seeing an opportunity, because that's really what we're talking about will really work with, as when I was talking about the Olympic rings. Somebody sees the problem with Facebook and Twitter, where they're all being and YouTube, all being censored so bad, and somebody's going to stand up and create something that will be an alternative. That's what I'm hoping will happen, but unfortunately, that'll have to take time. So yeah. Well,
anything you look at possibly happening, it's going to take years. Take a while down the line. Now, I'm hoping what the government can do. The government can say, well, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If you're going to pick and choose who you're going to censor for political lines, well, then we can do certain things to kind of inhibit your efforts. And that's what I'm hoping will happen, because this is going to have to be something I really believe comes from the government, unless you can get everybody in the public on the same page to say, okay, like for 1 week, we're not going to use Facebook at all, and have millions, billions of people just drop Facebook for 1 week at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you might start to see old Zuckerberg, or whatever his name is, start to cringe up a bit, because he's going to lose money at that point.
That's such a great idea.
But it's getting everybody it's just getting everybody to do that. See, it's the problem.
Well,
unfortunately, not everybody feels like we do, or they feel like Facebook's too important to them that they just can't lose that week on Facebook.
Well, like YouTube's been censoring pretty hardcore. There's a company called BitChute that is coming up as a platform for I'm actually going to go on there, and a few others are coming up like that too. Patreon, places like that, where they're not censored. So they're gonna feel it in their pocket, and that'll back them off. You know what I mean?
I'm hoping that'll be the case. But then we got to watch it, because when you get people like Google, Facebook, you got to look. Those are the big money guys, and if they do things right, they're so powerful that they can get those little guys squelched down into a place where they just can't move.
Yeah.
So here again, it's going to be up to people to do something about that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, anybody that comes up on the internet to take over anything like that's got to deal with Google with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So until better providers come up, we're kind of stuck in this little gig of censorship and all this other stuff. And I know it really sucks too, because
well, I gotta believe somebody somewhere.
What I have to say on Facebook, yeah, because Facebook will nail me in a heartbeat. So I have to really, really watch it. And
yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think I lost him. I'll get him back here in a minute. Anyway, we're talking to Rick Light, militia member, and he was rolling pretty good there, too.
Yeah.
All right, you there?
yeah,
All
I don't
right.
know what happened. You just
I don't
fell
know
out.
either.
Sorry about that.
It's the apple coming against me, man. You know? getting jammed by the apple. Yeah.
We're being censored.
Yeah, right.
We're being censored for talking about censoring.
That's it. That's it. We're here. They're doing it, buddy. They're going against us. Oh, no.
So do you have one great story you would like to share, or maybe just more examples of things the militia does? I know you gave us a few.
Oh, man. There's been a lot of stories throughout the militia. I don't know if Robert's familiar with Charles Dyer, Sergeant Charles Dyer out of Oklahoma. He's known as July 4th Patriot. Very good friend of mine, very outspoken, well-spoken patriot. Done a few videos that captured America's attention while he was in the Marine Corps. His punishment for that was being railroaded for child rape. Now he sits in prison for 30 years.
Jeez.
He had quite a rigmarole over that, which I'm sure a lot of people in the militia who are listening to this show, if they're familiar with history in the militia, they say, yeah, we remember when Rick was going through all that.
He's in jail right now.
That did help me establish a line with the feds, which became useful. Bear in mind, though, watch that avenue. You're playing with venomous snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When you go into that pit. So it's like I tell people, if the FBI starts coming around too much, well, you need to do something about that, because if they're coming around too much, they're looking to do something they shouldn't be doing. And like we all know that they've gotten real bad here lately about making good guys into bad guys.
Right, that Flynn
I
thing,
hate to say that about our FBI. I wish I had better things to say about the FBI right now. But as far as we can see, the upper echelons is polluted to the core. And we know that if that upper echelons on the 7th floor is polluted to the core, that drains downstream.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of people on the news say, well, most of our FBI agents in the field is blah, blah, blah. I beg to differ.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean every FBI agent's bad? No. I've met damn good. I've really met some good ones that would actually protect a real good guy from being a bad guy.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, I think that's the big key, you know, like police, sheriff department, whoever, law enforcement of any sort. The individual that's involved in that organization needs to understand what their actual reason for being there is. And it is the constitutional rights. It's not to do what you're told. It's the constitutional rights. That's their job. It really has nothing to do with whether you know, President so-and-so or whoever the hell they call that, the big dog for FBI. You know, it's not just whether you're going to make him smile. It's about doing the damn job. Do you see? And have guts enough to do that. You know, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough and could be scary. And some of them, man, they can, a lot of that stuff, they can go after their family, all kinds of stuff. But, you know, with the right connections and the right voice, you can still do what you have to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. But I don't have any trouble with them. Of course, I don't do anything to get in trouble with them.
No, I've never had
do they pat me on the shoulder every once in a while? Well, yeah, they do. You got a history like I have in the militia movement. Trust me, you're going to have people from the FBI, DHS. They're going to talk to you. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get a little tired of seeing out of the patriot community that every time that happens, all of a sudden everybody needs to get away from that person because there's some kind of a fed. And it's like, no. Look, you're going to be a professional militia member, and you're going to do things the right way. You're going to be a real militia. You're going to be in the county structure. You're going to be functioning. You think you're going to do that and not have to deal with the FBI sometimes, you lost your mind. That ain't the way this works. Look at Texas.
Yeah.
Texas is a border state.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in charge of that border?
Right.
By the Constitution, the federal government is.
Yeah. Ultimately.
That's by the Constitution.
Yeah.
So, guess what? You got a lot of crime going on down on that border. Everybody knows about cartels,
Sure. Sure.
illegal aliens. Yeah, all the drug smuggling and stuff like that goes on. So, okay, you're going to have active FBI situations and everything else that you're just going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't you
I would
think?
tell anybody, if you've got a deep hatred for law enforcement, you need to just stay a militia member. Be one of the grunts in the field. Yeah, I would beg anybody, don't let your officers become law enforcement haters.
Yeah.
I know that's tough sometimes. Right now, it's really tough because, boy, I'm seeing some of these cops do exactly what the Kogan overlords say. And even though I'm pro-law enforcement, I'm sorry, I have condemnation for them, that kind of law enforcement action.
Mm-hmm.
I do. So if there's any police officers out there, listen up.
Right.
I love law enforcement. I think law enforcement is completely necessary.
Absolutely.
I like our cops in Llano County. Why do I like our police officers? Because they know how to respect our rights and they treat us like human beings, even when they pull us over when we've done wrong.
Yeah.
That's the kind of cops I want to see out there, the kind of cop my dad was. Not the kind of cop that would go out and say, hey, the governor said it, so I got to do it. No, you don't.
Yeah.
If that goes against the Constitution, you need to stand up and say no. Be a cop. Be a real police officer. Police officers are supposed to do what? Enforce the law.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Your governor's breaking the law. Don't go after the people. Go after the governor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go after the mayor.
Yeah.
Whoever's doing the tyrannizing or being a Kogan overlord or what have you in your area, those cops need to be educated to know this. The moment those people step out of their lines of oath of office, police officers no longer obligated to obey any order.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
They can fire you, but I'll tell you what, if you turn around and sue them, they're going to wish they didn't fire you.
Right.
Not only that, for all you police officers that'll stand up for us, we will stand up for you.
Absolutely. That's what they really need to know.
Exactly.
Instead of
Amen.
all this ranting and raving about cops being dirty, there needs to be some more attention to cops that are doing right. That way, at least, the ones that are being dirty, maybe they'll wake it up, and maybe the good ones will,
What?
huh?
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of good stories through this COVID stuff about police officers that will stand the line with the people. Then I've seen the opposite. That just wrenches my gut. It's like, oh my God, how can you do that? This is what police officers need to understand.
Yeah.
Is if you follow a tyrant's orders,
you're a tyrant.
That tyrant's only a temporary tyrant. Yeah, they're not going to be there very long.
Right.
But guess what? Those people that you have to deal with, they're going to be there all their lives.
Yeah.
So you tell me who you want to side with.
Right.
Because let me tell you something. There's been times in history to where tyranny ruled in certain structures. Athens, Tennessee, in the 1940s. Mm-hmm. A bunch of veterans got together with a bunch of people and actually had a firefight with the elected officials over election fraud.
Cool. I mean,
election fraud. That's how these tyrants were staying in office, is they would rig the ballots every year, and these veterans got tired of it. They got together a bunch of people. It's called the Battle of Athens. Look it up.
Yeah, man, that stuff's still happening.
Put together a militia group. And turn the county free. Put it free again.
Yeah.
Took out the election fraud. Opened the elections back up.
Well, what do you think of the
Second Amendment for?
What do you think of the mail-in voting?
What was that again?
What do you think of the mailing in voting?
How they're trying to get mail-in votes.
I don't like it either.
That's a way to fraud the vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think about it. You can easily manipulate that creature too much. That's like, nope.
Yeah, there'll be.
No, I'll just go down and do my little voting thing.
Yeah, there'll be.
I'm not worried about getting voting.
Yeah, there'll be a warehouse somewhere just full of somebody's ballots. Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot of things going on like that. It's like, I don't know how much you might know about China right now.
Yeah, I have some clients out there that are really dealing with a lot of nonsense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I got news for a lot of people. I know some people think it's a conspiracy theory to think that China would attack America.
In a heartbeat if they can do it. Yeah.
It's not looking like it's going to turn out to be so much a conspiracy theory. Now that more information's coming out, China,
they're buying up a lot of this country.
Well, China just attacked the United States and the world to seize the economy.
Absolutely. That's what this whole thing is
about. They did
it
without firing nukes or anything. No. They just get this little virus over in Wuhan and said, hey, you know, that little lab's so close to the market, well, let's get it out into the market, let the market get infected. Mm-hmm. We'll shut part of China down to where people can't go into our parts of where we're at to get us. Mm-hmm. But we'll let them fly out all over the world. Right. And we'll wait 6 weeks before we let anybody know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to think that's an accident?
Yeah. The feeling I got, I knew when I didn't ever think it was an accident or some damn bat. They've been eating bats there forever. But
well, it gets even thicker. Mm-hmm. It does. It even gets thicker. Who's parroting China right now?
Huh?
Democrats and our media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some reports that some of our elected officials and doctors, I'm not going to name any names, but have donated money to the Wuhan lab years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. So know this. Remember us talking about that globalist movement?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you look at all who's supporting China, they're all part of the globalist movement now, ain't they?
Right. Yeah.
So where the ones standing against them are the ones going, no, we don't want that. We're not into that one government stuff where United States is going to be United States or there's just going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Period.
I think our people are a little too belligerent to take a whole lot of that crap. You know what I'm saying? They would have to.
Right.
They would have to really get up from under us, like what they're trying to do, really. You know. So.
Well, I'm kind of glad this all took off because without this happening, as hateful as it is, without this happening, we would not have the Great Awakening that we have now.
Right.
Yeah, I think I remember you talking at the beginning of the show when you were starting to do the introduction, talking about this paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's already happened. Yeah. The Great Awakening is here. Folks see tyranny now.
Well, you know, it's like
now
when we
got to do next is, hey, you guys that want to be in militia, listen up. Get your heads out of your butts. Quit acting like Mr. Barney Bad Butt. Quit talking all that hate and all that anger stuff and get yourself in gear. Create something your community can get behind. Guess what? You do that, you'll be able to accomplish anything you need with a smile on your face, and you ain't got a nail.
Yeah. Comes back down to linking arms, man. Everybody working together.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
It's like, well, does a tiger got to tell you it's a tiger?
Right. Well, you know.
Yeah, you know a tiger when you see it.
Yeah.
No, so know this. Militia groups form in your counties. Be good to the community. If you got a good sheriff, work with the sheriff. Work with the deputies. Create a bond.
Yeah.
The sheriff can't control you.
Right.
But boy, I'll tell you what, when that county gets in trouble, I'll bet they'll call you.
Yeah, for real. Well, I'll
bet you that sheriff will call a militia, good militia out to play before they will FEMA.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well,
I know Edwards County would have. I know this county's fixing to. I live in Llano County, Texas now. We're fixing to do the same thing we did in Edwards here in Llano.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So everybody that thought Edwards was a fluke, no. That's the way I tell people. You want to do something, you want to create a militia, it's going to be your delivery. How are you going to deliver that thing?
Right. Yeah.
How are you going to present it to the people? Because your presentation will mean it's success or failure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in
Either
'69.
that or have a private gang. You can always have your private gang and call it a militia.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that out there, though. You remember the John Birch Society? Are they still around?
Yes, sir.
They still around?
Yes, they are.
Well, back in the day, there was this, I'm going to say the faction. I don't think they were really part of them, but they say they were. It was in '66, I think it was, where people were going into this basement and they had these propaganda films and they were blaming Beatles for bringing communism and what was it else? There was some show they said if a kid watch a certain show, it means he's on drugs. They were a little what I'd say the wild card type. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think their heart was in the right place, but I think they got to where they were, lathering each other up, you might say. You know what I'm saying? And
well, what happens with groups, and this is even militia groups, if you ever notice, once when they start to get big, they start getting infiltrated.
Right.
They get people in there and they're purposely sent there in most cases. Make no mistake.
Mm-hmm. They're
purposely sent there to change the course of the group or the organization or what have you. NRA, a prime example of how things can go awry. NRA started off good and ended up being bad.
Right.
NRA actually helped get gun control started in America. People will look into it. Now, does that mean I don't support the NRA? No, I still am a member of the NRA because that's in their past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not happy about it because the NRA also took and helped make a convicted felon not able to have guns. Some people go, well, wait a minute, Rick, you can't say that. Convicted felons? Your Second Amendment right. Second Amendment right is right.
It's a right. Yeah, and you can't take a right.
Look, if you're in prison and jail, you can't have a gun, right? You're disarmed.
Yeah.
And righteously so. Okay, I get that. But when a person does their time for a crime
mm-hmm.
and they're out on the street again, don't they deserve the same amount of luxury to security to defend their lives as anybody else?
Yeah, once their bill is paid, you know what I'm saying? Once their bill is paid, to the government, whoever society, then they should have what everybody else has. The fact that they
don't. What about
don't.
Nonviolent felons?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what about nonviolent felons that never did anything with a gun,
mm-hmm.
but yet still get their gun rights taken away?
Right.
Folks, that ain't done for your safety. It's done to take guns away.
Right.
So don't tell me you're a Second Amendment supporter, but you support keeping that convicted felon that's out of prison, served their time, trying to put their life back together again, that you can take their rights from them.
Yeah. Well, that's why the recidivism of our prisons are so bad.
That's how erosion starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As it is now, if somebody gets any kind of felony, that takes their life, really, for the most part. So,
right.
Yeah, we are out of control, but I think this nonsense, all we're going through, it's interesting because the media, I blame the media for a lot of this because they just spread so many lies.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
I also blame career politicians. The ones that are in their 40, 50 years, they done lost touch. They shouldn't be even in there anymore. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are good. You can't always say everybody's bad. But biggest part of them, they done lost touch. So they're saying, okay, you can't have a gun, but I'm going to have armed guards. What the hell?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
But this is just what it is. I'm important, so I can have these guns. You're not, so you shouldn't have one. That's
right.
That's nonsense. But so how do you think?
Yeah, it is nonsense.
Little intuition and what you know about what's going on. How do you see it working out?
What was that? One more time.
How you see it working out?
Everything that's going on.
Yeah.
How do you feel like it's going to work out?
I think you'll see more militias start to develop along a more professional line. I think the further this gets pushed, the more people are going to do like I did in 1994. They're going to search.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're going to start seeing things. They're going to say, hey, what do I do? I don't feel like I can secure myself away from this tyranny that's developing in my government. Some people have moved away from the areas, which they already are. I don't know if you heard about New York, but people are vacating New York like it's got the plague, which I guess it did.
It does.
For a while.
Right. Right.
But its main plague isn't the disease in COVID.
Right.
Its main plague is mayor and governor.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I tell people. I'm a firm believer on what Mr. West said on his video. He said that we've got a new virus called tyranny.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's been growing for a while. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it's really reared its head good and hard. And now people are seeing like, wow, they're like in disbelief that this could happen.
Yeah.
Really. And that kind of shock is good. I was shocked in 1994. I remember, really, I got shocked at Ruby Ridge. And when Ruby Ridge took off, it was like one of my wake-up calls. And then when I seen Waco.
Yeah, Waco's
nuts. It was like,
it was crazy.
What the heck? Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Especially killing those kids.
Yeah, and they knew what they were doing. That was nothing about taking care of some terrorist guy, whoever the hell they thought he was. But anyway. Well, buddy, we're about out of time.
I think they learned their final lesson. I think they learned their final lesson at Bundy's Ranch.
Right.
Since Bundy's Ranch, he had no seizures. So, let's just hope that sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, we're about out of time. Been nice talking to you.
Thank you so much for your bravery and fighting for the people.
Yeah.
So awesome. It's been great listening to you.
Let us know if you'd like to come on again. What we can do to help your militias and whatever's going on.
You're very, very welcome. And note this, I appreciate the thanks, but we've got a lot of us out there, not just me. And there's a lot of us out there that's really trying hard.
Well, that's good to know.
And
it's good to know.
That's great.
Yeah. My hat's off to all of them.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Well, you have a good day. Everybody, thank Rick Light with us, militia member and all around good guy. So, all right.
All right.
Talk to you later, buddy.
Next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, folks, we're coming to the end. One of the things I really wanted to say was a lot of people that I know, I'm in the metaphysical field, that sort of thing. I'm a professional intuitive, that kind of nonsense. Well, not nonsense. A lot of us really looked at the 2012 changes in the Mayan calendars, all that sort of thing. The Mayan calendar said stuff like that the world is going to change. A lot of people thought it was going to end, but it was going to end as we know it. That's where we are now. We're at a point where the higher consciousness, the understanding of fair play, the understanding of showing love, showing sensitivity, showing understanding is paramount to showing your fist or your teeth or whatever might be going on here. It's paramount. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Power isn't shown by a closed fist or a big mouth. It's shown by understanding and understanding how to talk, understanding how to communicate and how to listen. That's what it's all about. But as human beings, in a situation where that we're in, you have to have the balance. You have to listen, understand, but you have to be willing to stand your ground. And this is where we are. We will win this thing. Things will get better. Things are going where they should be in the next 27 months. Watch for it. Anyway, having said that, we're going to have to close for the day. And we'll be talking to you next time. I guess that's it. That's it. How'd it go, you think?
Well, it's still red.